So we're back fixing the car. So as you can hear the fan going right now, and the thermostat went out. So what's going on is that there's nothing on the indicator of the thermostat. So I can't show you that, but there's plenty of photos of other people that have that, but there's just no temperature. Like the temperature gauge is up to, on cold. Thankfully, there is heat coming out of the heater, so the thermostat is left open. So my understanding is that the thermostat is open, so it's not reading an accurate temperature, and it's not, the sensor's not reading a fluctuation of temperature. So that's why the fan is on right now, because it just thinks it's overheated. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and change out the thermostat and kind of get that taken care of, and I'm hoping that's going to be the fix, and I'm hoping it's not the sensor itself, but how things have been going. They've just been kind of hit and miss. But as you can see, I've already got the cover off. I put the cover back on. I need to get that bolt still, but I'll figure that out later. But I'm going to be taking off the intake off. I'm going to be taking off the manifold and leaving the throttle body on, so that just all comes off. I'm not going to go into it. I've got a video on it. There's plenty of other videos on it. But the thermostat is right under the throttle body. It's right under there. Where that little black housing is, it's kind of pretty much where it's at. But once I get this off, I'll show you guys. So we're going to take that off and get that taken care of. I have the replacement thermostat here. This is the part number that I looked up through O'Reilly's. Now, I would recommend maybe getting OEM. Go to a Chevy dealership. The only reason why I'm doing that is because I need the car by Friday. So today's Wednesday, and I got a lot of things I need to do before then. Yeah, so I'm just going with that option, and I'm hoping that's gonna last longer than the OEM, but this seems to be an issue. I don't have a check engine light yet, so thankfully this happened last night as soon as I got home. And so the ECU hasn't read anything weird, or ECM, sorry, hasn't read anything weird. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all that stuff off, and then we'll go ahead and I'll just go on where the location is, what needs to be pulled to get it out. And I've heard it's kind of hard, but I'm hoping we can get this done in not too long. And if it's super easy, then I might just do it all in one go and see if that fixes the issue. So you can see the manifold's off, and this is what we're replacing right there. This guy right down here. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take these two bolts off, and just be careful. You are gonna spill coolant, so have something below, and then you should be able to reach and be able to, well, once this is off, then you're gonna be able to get the bolts that are in here. Some of the tape, there's some black tape that is covering one of the bolts, but there should be one right here. Oh, and the other one is right there. Nope, that's not it. There you go, right there. I heard it's really hard to get to, depending on what you're using. So, but yeah, I just got to get this tape off right here. I don't know why it's covering it, but get that off, and we should be good to go. So we're gonna take these off first and go get a pan for this, and then that way we can get to that. So we'll get to it. We were able to take off the hose, and we were able to reach where the thermostat is now. There's one thing when you're about to do this, so go to the auto parts store before you start this. Don't, if you're watching this, you're already in the middle of it, try and get a ride there, Uber there, but I'll show you why. Getting to that bolt right there is a pain, like everybody said. The one over there, easy. This one, not so much. Now, this tool here was borrowed from one of our technicians, and invest in this. It's a 10 millimeter, and that's what those bolts are, 10 mil. It's a 10 millimeter, and this sits right on top of the head of the bolt, and you get enough clearance with no problem. And get a small enough ratchet. If you don't have one, I'd get a set. It'll come super handy with this whole thing. So yeah, this though, I don't know what it's called, but it's from Snap-on. I'm sure you can find a cheaper one. This is probably like $30 or something, but yeah, get one. So what we're gonna do now is, I have a pan under there because a bunch of coolant fell out. Keep that in mind. Lots of coolant will come out. So make sure that you put something under, so that way it does not get your floor dirty, or if you don't care, well, you know, there you go. But I gotta leave this sitting for a minute. I gotta go and do some stuff because I'm at work. Once I get back though, we're gonna take that other bolt out. We're gonna figure out how to lift this out. Again, now what I did is I took this off. This is a 10 millimeter bolt, both of these. Same with the top of there. And all I did is unscrew these. It already has an O-ring gasket, so you don't need a new O-ring or anything. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lift, and that stayed in place. So how that one's raised, let me see if I can get it. There you go. How that one's raised is how they'll stay. So we should have enough clearance to be able to wiggle and maneuver it out and get it out. We might need to unplug this. I'm not sure, but we'll see once we get to that point. But so far it looks relatively okay to be doing, but you know, every time I say that, it gets harder. So once I get back, we'll get started on that, and we'll finish this up and get it tidied up and see if it fixes the problem. We got it out, and we had to kind of pull this up a little bit to kind of wiggle it out, but it was pretty simple to kind of get it to just, I mean, it wasn't simple. You kind of had to turn it a little bit and just kind of wiggle its way out of there. Keep in mind, you will lose a lot of coolant, so make sure you have some extra. Like, the reservoir is gone, the hose has nothing in it. So the good thing is that there's some coolant in the block, and you know, that's more important. I'd rather have coolant in the block than the radiator, because then at least when I fill this up and go through the burping process, the block isn't empty. So so that's good. That's your temperature sensor right there. That guy right there. And as far as I could tell, everything looks good. You know, one does look darker than the other. Let me see if I can let you guys see that. So that one's the one that came out. That's the new one, and it looks exactly the same. So we're gonna go ahead and put the new one in. It comes with new bolts, which is good. And yeah, once we get it all buttoned back up, we'll get some coolant, turn it on, and do the burping system, and see if it fixed it. So I was able to, you can take the bolts out. That's how what I did when I pulled out the old one. So kind of how I did it was kind of just did this thing, where kind of just have to, like I said, you gotta lift this up a little bit, give yourself a little bit of room, and kind of gotta, like I said, just kind of twist and turn. It's kind of hard with trying to do it with the phone, so I'm gonna put this down. You just got to do a couple little twists and turns, and I was able to get it back in. And you just set it right back down where it goes, like so. Already has an O-ring on it, so as long as you get it to sit flush and you set it correctly, you should be good, and it's there. So now we're gonna get the bolts, which drop in pretty easy. And just hand tighten one. Alright, so hand tightening and that's on there good. I just gonna hand tighten it to make it simple. And this one should be just about the same. So we're gonna just drop this guy in. What you're gonna do? Okay, so don't tighten this one. Don't do this one over here. What you're gonna do is this one first, because what you gotta do is you kind of gotta lift this up and angle it a little bit so you can get the head of the bolt to come down through here. There's like a little piece of metal that doesn't allow you to let it get through, but if you kind of twist this a little bit and kind of angle it, it'll fall right in with no problems. So then now you can do the other side and hand tighten it, and hand tighten this as much as you can. But since I have that tool, it's gonna make it faster. And then you just tighten it down, and then you just do it in the reverse order. And just make sure that you put fluid in the system. Make sure you put fluid in here, and you need use a funnel and go within a small amount of increments. And I mean, I'll show you when I get there, but just make sure you got enough coolant to replace what you lost. So like I said, just retighten these back up. Now I don't know what the actual torque spec is. I'm just going to hand tighten and do maybe like a quarter turn, and then just call it a day, just because I think that should be good enough. I don't think this was on there very tight. I was able to break this off easily. So yeah, I'm just gonna tighten them up and then put the hose back on and then just put it back together. All right, so it's all put back together, as you can see. Now what I would do is, because you're kind of dealing with like a O-ring gasket, and this should just be a good rule of thumb, is to don't tighten this all the way and then tighten that. You know, go back and forth. Go until, you know, hand tighten here, then hand tighten here, and then jump back and forth like maybe a couple turns and then a couple turns until it stops, and then quarter turn. But obviously, you know, keep in mind that, you know, don't go too hard on these, because this is aluminum, so you can strip it and then you're gonna have to do all the work again and spend double the money. So just keep that in mind. Same with the inside, with the actual housing unit and the thermostat. Just side to side, and then just slowly, but don't overdo, you know, don't over tighten it. Just enough to where you can just grab the head of the wrench and then just kind of turn it quarter turn. Maybe even not even that, just enough to feel it kind of turn a little bit, and then call it a day. And then now I just got to put the throttle body back on and put on the intake and go get some coolant, and we'll be good to go. We are now to the process of putting more fluid into the system. Now, just double checked with some of the guys here at my job, and you know, they were saying that because there's no air, that there shouldn't be any air pockets in the block because of where my thermostat sits. I shouldn't need to do the burping system. So what I'm gonna do is, I mean, I already have it on, but I'm just gonna fill it up. I'm gonna fill this up to where it says cold fill, so which is right, you know, this line right here. And I'm gonna run the car and then just let it run to op temp. Make sure that the sensor is actually reading correctly and it's, you know, doing what it needs to do. It might not work at first because it needs to get a sense of I'm assuming it's just the pressure in the block, so that's what I'm assuming. So yeah, we're gonna fill this up, we're gonna turn the car on, let it get to operating temp, hope that the fan doesn't turn on. And while I was there, I cut the intake so that way it wasn't hitting, and now we got a nice little gap there, so no more rubbing. But anyway, yeah, so let's go ahead and add some fluid and let's hope that it works. All right, now we're at the line there. It's probably a little bit low, but that's okay. It's gonna get a little bit lower anyway, so we're gonna add more regardless. Now, remember, down here, this lowering tank down there does need some. Now, I, for the life of me, can never find a cold line, but there's a little book there There's a little book right here on the side, and it's got some arrows and a line here, so I just filled it to there. But just remember to put some in here because you're gonna need some. So, and you're gonna need a very small bottle because this opening is insanely small. So yeah, I'm gonna close this up and we're gonna start the car. Well, the coolant temperature is back up. Now, when I initially started the car, it still gave me the no coolant little indicator. So, hold on one sec. So it still gave me the no coolant indicator, and the car was acting really weird. It was acting super jumpy. I'm not sure what happened or what was going on, but I saw that some people were unplugging the negative on the car and were, you know, leaving it off for 15 minutes, turning it back on, and everything's back up. So you can see I got the temperatures coming up again. It's going up to operating temp. I still have, I don't know if you can see it, I still have the cap off just to make sure that it's gonna, you know, keep circulating things and make sure that it's working good. The fan is no longer on, thankfully. Looks like the tune I have on the car is still good because the car's not acting all choppy and weird. But yeah, it's all good now. So just to give you a recap of everything that I did, I took off the manifold, intake, and that was super easy. At least I've done it 100 times, so it's easy. Then, sorry, I need to make sure that that thing's not overflowing. Yeah, I took that off and replaced the thermostat, put it back in, and put it all back together. I turned the car on, nothing happened. So what I would recommend is do what I did. Undo the negative on your battery, let it sit for 10-15 minutes, and then turn it back on and see what happens. And as you guys saw, my my temperature the temperature sensor is reading again. The gauge is back up. I'll show you a photo. I mistakenly didn't take any video or photos of what mine looked like, but it's the same thing that I'm going to show you guys. But yeah, that's what it looked like, and as of right now, everything is working and sounding really good. So I'm gonna take that as a win. I'm gonna take that as a done, and let's hope that the sensor isn't what's wrong, and we'll go from there. But like always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for following me. I appreciate all of you guys. I definitely got to give a shout out to my job, JBA Speed Shop. They gave me the lift to be able to do it on the car because my car's too low, and I wasn't able to get a pan under the car, so I need to lift it slightly. But also letting me take some time on and off from work today to be able to work on the car and get ready for my brother's wedding. So I'm excited. Everything is looking good. So yeah, again, guys, thank you for following. Please comment, please message me either on here or on Instagram, and or on Twitter. I'm starting to throw that up on there as well. It's not the same as my car, but I might make one later down the line, but I don't know yet. But so yeah, I'm just waiting for this to get to temperature, which I don't think it's going to, because I've never seen it get up to where the thermostat needed to open up. So maybe that was it. Maybe it's just one of those things that happens. So, because it's just not even climbing all that fast or going up that much. So again, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more. I'm working on some more videos. Some are older, so they may not make sense, or it might look different, or the car looks different, but again, I just want to get all the content out there as fast as I can. So yeah, so thank you guys again for watching. Let me know what you would have done to make this easier. Honestly, I don't know what I could have done to make it easier, because it just kind of was straightforward. But and I hope I actually showed you a little bit more actual install and stuff, because that's what I'm trying to do. But again, it's hard to do it when it's just me. So thank you guys again, and we'll see you guys on the next one.